Hello everyone, how you doing? And welcome back to Skye and Evan in the morning. And today, we wish to wish you a happy new year because this is the first episode of 2026. So yes, hope you have a prosperous new year. And to start the year off with, we got The Princess Bride, a recommendation from Evan, which is a film I had never ever seen before. So yeah, I know I'm a heathen, but now I have. And yeah, Evan, you said it's like one of your favorite films, right?
Yeah, this is one of those, like, it reminds me of Groundhog Day or The Karate Kid. It's like I remember watching this as a kid. I still remember the first time I sat down and watched it. And I'm sure my parents loved it and had seen it before, but it's just one of those, like, classics that I grew up with. And I always remember I don't think I've like met anyone that doesn't like this movie. It's so accessible and works so well, and yeah. What did you think? Like, 'cause you're fresh, and you said you basically didn't even know anything about it. You knew like Precious Little Beyond the Inigo line.
Yeah, I genuinely only knew the Inigo line. I I did remember something from How I Met Your Mother though at the end when Inigo says like Fezzik, you did something right. And there's a line in How I Met Your Mother where Marshall says that line is stupid because Fezzik has been doing like good things the entire movie. So George,
It's
he could have just
very
said
true.
thank you, buddy. And genuinely, because that line took me out, and then I immediately remembered that reference from How I Met Your Mother because it's true. Fezzik is like the goat. He does a lot of things. He's awesome. I genuinely really liked Fezzik. But yeah, that was a really really fun film. It's kind of funny. I was watching it. I was like 20 minutes in, and I didn't know what was 20 minutes. I was like, okay, like, geez, this movie's very fast paced. Time's moving by quickly. I was like, wait, it's only been 20 minutes because like so much stuff happens in this first like 30 minutes, and then the movie
Yeah.
slows down a little once Wesley finds shit. What's her name?
Cup.
Buttercup. Yes. And then it feels more like a movie, but it is fun and I really enjoyed it. It has like some amazing like sword fights which I thought were really cool, but I think like part of what I really like is that, and I'm gonna compare it to something I know you don't like, which is funny, but anyway, it leans into the fact that this is a story, so it's not trying to appeal to realism or anything like that, to have a lot of fun with the concept. um because the framing device is that it's a grandpa reading this book to his grandson who's sick.
Yeah.
And the Fargo season 3 does something similar, which I really like. It was like leaning into the idea that this stuff is
Oh,
fictional. And like,
well, that episode, I know what you're talking about. Like,
well, it's the
I think in that
entirety of
context,
season 3, not just one episode. The entire framing
all
device
of
is
it.
season 3, yeah.
Oh God, this is probably something. Christ, is there an idea that the entirety of season three? Well, oh, the story thing at the beginning and end,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Oh
like
my
this is a
God.
true story and everything fades out and just story instead of true, which is usually what word gets left on. So yeah. And I
I don't
mean, the
know.
first scene of season 3 is talking about like who writes the history, the victors and everything. So anyway, this is beside the point. I really like Fargo season 3, but I like the idea of this framing device of like leaning into the fictitiousness. Like in universe, it is fictitious, so we don't have to like lean into
Well,
realism so much. Because this film, it's so much is like when they give them spoilers, I guess. When Wesley's dead and they give him the pill to bring him back, it's like, oh yeah, we coated in chocolate to go down easier. Like that was hilarious, and it's like a movie that took itself more seriously couldn't get away with something like that. So yeah.
no, but what I laugh at though is that it never crosses the line to full out spoof territory.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel ridiculous to the point that it's Monty Python or The Naked Gun.
Oh yeah.
It's enough that you can be emotionally invested in the characters, and again, the storytelling the storybook framing. I think what it feels like a little bit is like a stage play, especially
Yeah.
with how the sets work. It feels just like something where you're invested in what you're watching, even though you know you're just watching actors performing like a scene, playing a
Hmm.
role. But it's
I
so
think that
unique in
is.
that.
Sorry. You go.
I was just gonna say it's so unique in that regard. It's hard to compare this movie to anything else. Like, a Knight's Tale kind of has this energy. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but that's another one that would actually be a good recommendation. But so few movies are like this, where they can be so funny, but also enough that you take it seriously.
Hmm.
But they like just like fantasy and story, like you were saying, like acknowledging that what you're watching is fictitious in a story.
Yeah. I one of the things that well, for one, I thought it was hilarious when uh Wesley is like climbing the mountain. It's like it's gonna take a long time, and you just throw me the rope down. Like that was hilarious.
That Oh my god, that scene is so amazing. It's just so funny how they're like leveling with each other as well, because it's like
Yeah,
he
I mean they
says,
completely
"I'm only waiting."
respect each other. It's like, well, it's a job. I gotta kill you. It's not personal, but like they clearly respect each other. Like you can buy that they by the end they would team up, which is why it feels so
Yeah,
earned when they do. It's like, oh yes, they're finally fighting together. It's a great scene. I really love. That's probably my favorite scene of the movie, honestly. And
it's there's so many to decide from, but I just
yeah.
want to like gush about that exactly because it's there. One of my favorite moments in that scene is when Inigo hands him his sword. Like, for one, he just confides in him about his dad, and then
Mm.
he pulls out his sword. There's this moment where you just see Wesley, like, look at him, and he's like, "You're about to hand me your sword. You're about to give me your weapon, even though you've acknowledged that you want to kill me." And he just gives it back, says, like, "I've never seen its equal." It's, oh my God. And the fight itself, like, they size each other up, use their left hands. That is one of my favorite sword fights in a film. It's really, really good.
Yeah, like yeah, the whole sequence, the fight was amazing. Um, but similarly, like that whole thing of like acknowledging the world is fake. There is something about older films that I like, where they don't like because nowadays I think films care so much about immersion, about like the verisimilitude of it all, that they're
Well,
scared of like hamming things up a little in terms of like feeling a little bit more melodramatic. And there are moments in this film where it's like you can clearly tell like that isn't real. And it's like the whole thing with like sword fights and everything. In a movie nowadays, the blood would have to look realistic. The sword fighting would have to look realistic and have the clink 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 and
well,
seeing the fucking sparks flying off between each sword and everything. But in this film, because it's an older film, it doesn't need all that realism and you still fully buy into it. And it's something, especially because I've been watching a lot of westerns recently, where it's like I can fully buy into the world of a movie without needing it to be like this super like realism. Otherwise, like an entire like or like
I
how
think,
in Django Unchained when Django shoots the sister and she fucking flies off. Like I can buy
well,
that.
the sets and lighting are another great example of that. I was talking to my brother about that with Tarantino. He loves Tarantino having lighting that just does not add up for
Hmm.
the set. You'll often get tables that have like just an insane amount of light on them, and you're like, what is shining down on there? It's like the sun itself is there,
Hmm.
but it's like
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense in the scene, but it makes for a great shot. It makes for a great effect. And yeah, I'm like, it feels like a lot of filmmakers are afraid of that because like it. I don't know why, but it might be that like they think like people will make fun of it, that they won't take it seriously, or that
Yeah.
yeah, like
I think it's kind of a self-fulfilling
choreography.
prophecy, right? Where like people were trying, and it's the same with like video games, where like people were trying to aim for a
Yeah.
level of realism that's so like unattainable. They did it so much that audiences now expect it, and now if you don't do something like that, you will be mocked as as being like being too goofy or too cheap. Like because like there's a look that we have for films that like We look at a film like it's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, this costs money. Like everyone mentions that one shot in Madame Web, right? The one where she's walking down the street. Like,
Yeah.
why does this look amazing and No Way Home looks awful? And it's the whole thing of like that Madame Web does not look good, but they knew how to shoot a scene in a street where it looked cinematic, and that's all that is. And like because like the type of movie that Madame Web is the type of movie that like in the early 2000s it would look awful. It would be like the fucking like Catwoman style film, you know, like very it would feel very cheap because it was cheap, and it would like but it would probably use a lot more practical effects and everything, and nowadays looking back we would make fun of it, but at the time that wouldn't be the issue. The issue would be the story, you know. So
And a lot
it's
of the movies and games are like more timeless because of that, because
yeah.
they had more practical things in this. Like you were saying with westerns, I there is a sense of non-realism that you can usually tell with them, that they've like just made sets, that they're using costumes, that they just went, the desert's easy to shoot in because like there's nothing else out there. You can film usually without having to worry about other things getting in your way, like you
Mm-hmm.
can't, because you're not shooting in a city. But games are similar. Like I've always cited Half-Life 2 as just like, even though the graphics are dated, it it's just still a timeless experience. It's a
Yeah.
timeless game. But now games want to look more like films, more
Yeah.
like they present more like films. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's great
Petroquilism's
going
made
back
a
to
video recently about this topic, which is what was on my mind about like video games trying to be cinema. And it's the whole
yeah.
thing of like AAA games that want to like are striving for realism, like photorealism especially. And it kind of being like like because they aim for it, that's what we expect out of AAA games, and that's why they cost so much, and that's why they need to make $1 billion to make their
Yeah, the
money
budget,
back.
it's just like blockbuster movies.
Yeah.
Like the budgets have gotten so insane for video games that they kind of have to push for that kind of a thing.
Yeah. And the games that don't try to aim for like the photorealism are often more artistically like interesting, I guess. Those that don't try to be super realistic, and I think it's the same for movies because like this film has a look to it that like it never looks real, but it never takes me out of it. um and it always I always buy that this universe exists. Like when they were, running through the fucking
Well,
fire swamp and everything, I was like, sure, this is a real
yeah,
place. Even though the
rat
the rats,
costumes, like
yeah,
yeah,
like
so much of this should not work. So
yeah,
much of this should take you out and just be like, "Oh man, like this looks cheap."
mm-hmm,
But it's like, but it's so sincere that it doesn't come across as like cheap and
yeah,
fake. It comes across like they cared and they wanted to make something that just felt like a child's imagination. There's
yeah,
another movie that has a similar framing device to this movie that I grew up with, where like, a character's being told a literal story. They're not being read a book, but you get what are essentially flashbacks to that. And that story cuts more back and forth rather than this, which is mostly the storybook side of it. But there's something amazing about a story where the framing device is a child's imagination.
mm-hmm,
I feel like a lot more like animated movies explore that kind of a thing, but it's funny watching a film where most of it is a child's depiction of the storybook.
yeah. And it is such an interesting like framing device, and I completely get why this would be like a childhood classic for many people, because it buys you it like brings you in. It earns the love it gets, because it starts with the kid being like, oh my god, like this story, I just want to play video games and talk about sports. And like when the kissing starts, like, it's like, oh, you kissing, skip to the sports
Yeah,
stuff.
is this a kissing book? It's so
Yeah,
funny. Oh my
but he
god.
gets super invested as it goes on. Like the moments where
Yeah,
he
and
interjects, he just like makes me go, oh man, this is awesome.
well
It's
the
heartwarming.
The shrieking eels is another great example of that because that's one of the scenes that might like scare younger kids watching the movie, and they literally take a moment where like the grandpa realizes the kids get a little startled.
Mm,
It's it's just such a charm to that, to literally
yeah,
pausing the movie. A couple of movies do that kind of a thing,
yeah.
but it can work well.
Yeah, I don't know how like necessary it was for the story to be, have that framing device, but it's like it adds a certain charm to it that I think is
I
very heartwarming.
I've meant to read the book for a while. The book is pretty short from what I understand, and I think it was written like before this. I don't believe the framing device is in there, and I'm not sure where that came from. William Goldman wrote the screenplay, but I wonder like how early on that idea happened and
Mm,
when, because it kind of feels like it dictates the flow of everything, even though, like I said, most of the movie is the actual story. The cuts between it reminds me a little of what you said about Home Alone, where it that's kind of what makes the movie and brings everything
mm-hmm.
together and makes all the other elements make sense.
Yeah, I think it ties it in like thematically to have it be like, and I think it's a hard film to make because it kind of needs to stick that landing of where the story in the book is so good that you actually like you get invested in it like the kid, and you like that the kid is like interested in it. It says like, oh, maybe you could read it to me again tomorrow, like because it's like a small payoff, but it feels
Well,
earnest and it feels earned because the story is so good. So it's like it's a hard thing because like you're gambling on like people thinking your story is good because you need that to for that ending to land. So yeah.
yeah, well, as well as that, with the small payoff thing, is that he seemed kind of like annoyed by his grandpa before, like when he
Mm,
talks to his mom and he like pinches his cheek. But that's what's so cool about the end of it. Like by the end of the movie, or like by the end of the story being read, he's warmed up to his grandpa a little bit,
mm-hmm.
and it's hard to call those two like characters in the story, as it were. But, you still end on a great note between those two, and they tie it all together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you can see the start of like a bond forming between the grandpa and him, and so yeah, it's very heartwarming. In terms of the characters, I gotta say, Vizzini, my goat, Wallace Shawn, he was
Yeah,
amazing. When I saw
I
Wallace Shawn, I was like, oh
so
my god, he's in this movie, and he's so funny.
it's probably my favorite, like, live action performance I've seen from him. I always laugh because I think I've seen more, like, animated performances, and I always like Toy Story is probably, like, the performance from him that I grew up with in large part, but oh my God. The Battle of Wits is so funny. I have performed that scene, like, before on stage, and oh my God. It's such a funny sketch. There's so
Mm.
many sketches like that in Monty Python as well. But oh my God, the dialogue is so good, and he is such a funny character. And yeah, like he dies in the first third of the movie, but he is so memorable, and Wallace Shawn leads into it in the best way.
It's great. And it's the whole like wait till I get going. Like, oh, you're just getting started. And he keeps saying, obviously I can't pick your cup, but I can't pick my cup. It's so funny. I was laughing out loud in that moment. Like this film is really funny in the sense that I was amused throughout. Very few moments got me to actually laugh, but that entire scene I was laughing like so much. It was genuinely hilarious.
Yeah.
And I
I
appreciate as well the way they treated other than that line from Inigo at the end, which I just genuinely find it so weird. Like, Fezzik, you did something right. No, he's been not doing things right all the entire film, buddy. Chill out. But I do like that Fezzik isn't treated as like this sort of joke. I genuinely really liked Fezzik. I thought he was a cool, nice character,
yeah,
and like he has interesting dynamics both with Inigo and Wesley. Like when he fights Wesley, there's like like he even says like is the whole being sportsmanlike. Like we're gonna set our weapons down and we're gonna do it sportsmanlike. because
Yeah.
I don't want to be a coward. I was like, that's nice, and it all ties back to around to how much of a coward the king prince is. The Buttercup's husband, well, fiance, I guess. They never get married. Because he gives up at the end, and everyone else is like giving him a fair chance to fight and earn their death, I guess. And so it's nice to see that, like, showing the difference between these people who are like, the poor people, the lower class, like actually treating people with more class than those rich, like Prince. Like, that was nice. I really like that whole thing. Like, thematically, I think it tied well together.
Yep. Yeah, Fezzik's amazing, and he and Nico, like they're back and forth, like such a great duo. Like I miss that too. Like we were mentioning just like older movies and like the sincerity of like the presentation, but
Mm.
I love just dynamics, like just good friends that are just like just make a good pairing. Like every
Yeah.
time they're on
Well,
screen,
it's
you
the
just
whole thing
love
of
seeing
like,
them.
if this was a movie nowadays, Inigo would be rolling his eyes all the time, making fun of Fezzik, and Fezzik would be like an
Yeah.
aloof goof who never knows he's being made
He'd
fun
say,
of.
yeah, he'd say more stupid
Hmm.
things more frequently. Like that's the funny thing is that he doesn't like he's always reasonable and funny and even tempered. He's just the teddy bear. I
Yeah,
They rely on the actor's charisma rather than like anything fake or that feels manufactured. It doesn't.
exactly.
Yeah,
I think
all the
that is the
cast
whole
is like
thing.
that
Yeah, I
too.
think that is the
Yeah.
whole thing with the movie, is that it doesn't feel like contrived. Any of the dynamics, any of the characters, any of the plot beats, like everything feels earnest. And it was so funny seeing oh my god, Wesley's actor, I forgot his name, but because I only know him from
Oh God.
Saw, and I was like,
Yeah,
wait,
Carrie Ellis. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
okay,
probably the movie that I know him the most from.
yeah, because I
Yeah,
was
it's a
like, wait, is
standout. But
that Carrie Ellis? I was at the beginning like, wait, is that him? Because
oh,
in my mind, he's only done Saw. I don't know him from anything else. So it's interesting. I didn't know he was in this film, so that was a nice surprise, and he's
well,
great in it.
and another one is Billy Crystal as
Mm,
Miracle Max. Oh my
yeah.
God, it's almost a cameo. He does not get that much screen time, but that is so fucking funny. It's one of those things where the makeup job department did such an amazing job, say with the hair and just making him look like 90 years old.
Yeah.
But it's just Billy Crystal. He isn't like really doing all that much different with his voice. He's just kind of being himself.
Oh my god, speaking of doing
And
something
it's so
different with the
great.
voice, the fucking albino, the first time we see the fact he is like
Yes.
and then he just starts talking normally. It's so funny.
And it's
I
just
knew
got a
they were
really
gonna
deep,
do
really
that.
like
When he cleared his throat, I was like, oh my god, they're gonna do it, aren't they? They did. And it's the whole thing I was saying of like, this doesn't work in a movie that's taking itself fully seriously, and it's part of the whole framing
yeah.
device of it being a book, is that it has this charm of being like, it's a story. It doesn't need to like
Well,
conform or care about any anachronisms like that.
Well, I could see that shit happening in a Marvel movie,
Mm,
but it would be out of place. It would like because you can't take that seriously. The funny part of that is that you're watching like you've seen the scene before, like the like gremlin who's like speaks like this, like the Igor like higher, but it's just they make a joke of that, like he just needs to clear his throat, and he just is just kind of a guy, you know? That's the thing. That's the thing about a lot of this movie is that the characters don't feel, even though it's a fantasy story, that doesn't feel like the characters are fantasy people.
mm.
They kind of just feel like normal people
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole
just
thing.
doing their
Like,
thing.
it builds up all these like legends, I guess, in universe, and it kind of breaks them all down. Like the fucking pirate Roberts, they're
The
like,
Dread
oh
Pirate, yeah,
yeah, oh my god, how did you survive? It's like, I'm not, he just kind of let me live, because it's the whole thing. Like the name carries more weight than the actually being Dread Pirate Roberts, so I'm just gonna pass it on to
yeah.
someone
It's
else. He even says he offers it to Inigo, right? Like, oh, you'd make a good pirate, so it's great.
yeah. It trades hands like 3 or 4 times, and it's just the
Yeah.
legend that's grown, even though the real story isn't all that interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is the whole thing of like, like it feels like this movie is kind of doing that, of just like, there's these legends and whoa, the whole like fairy tale aspects of it, and it's not that glamorous, but like within those stories there's still the grain of truth of the whole, like, true love saved them and true love got them back together. It's like it wasn't true love that saved them. It was, circumstances are very explainable in universe, but like, you know for the characters, for what it means, it's like, no, true love brought them back and everything. So it's, yeah, it means the whole thing. Like when he's brought back, that he's like limping and everything. It's just like, instead of being like this triumphant resurrection, he can barely walk. So it takes away the glamour, which somehow makes the story work a lot better because it doesn't feel fake. It feels more earnest when like things don't always go perfectly. Things don't always work within, because it's like comparing this to like Pirates of the Caribbean, where every single legend is like fully true, and the
Yeah.
movie's like playing up the legend status of everyone and everything. This feels like way toned down compared to that. It's just like, say, like these characters in this universe, they're having fun and everything, and it's not like this whole like, oh, it, the legend of the dread pirate Roberts, So yeah, I don't know. I really enjoy what they did, like tonally, with this film. I think I've seen very few films that do something like this that actually land it well, and I think this movie did it perfectly, honestly.
Yeah. I This is something I've meant to bring up before. I'm like, so would you recommend this movie? I would
Absolutely.
imagine yes, based on what we're talking.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's funny too. We'll talk about it because you just released a video called "Stop Ranking Movies," but this is a movie that I would posit might be perfect. A lot of people don't like the no movie's perfect kind of an idea, but
Mm,
this is one that I might posit. And what I've always said about that is if there is such a thing as a perfect movie, I don't think the filmmaker sets out to make a perfect movie. They're like, yeah,
mm,
let's like make something that's like fucking perfect and like it will just be flawless and we'll make the best movie ever. It just kind of happens sometimes.
mm.
And like YMS talked about that with The Lion King. Sometimes just the right people come together for the right project and you just get
A
everyone
masterpiece.
that needed to make yeah, everyone that needed to make the masterpiece came together, and
Mm,
this feels like that to me, where the cast does just an amazing job, everything with the set and camera work to, like, add that sense of authenticity to the storybook framing, the the humor, and, like, so much is everything works so well that I would, like, argue this might be a perfect movie. I'm not sure what else you would fit in that. You and I like different stories, but,
mm.
oh my god, I
Yeah, I mean,
this is
genuinely,
like, this
other than
is
that one line of like Fezzik, you did something right, would genuinely bug
ah,
me. Like, I know I joked about it, but like
that
that line feels so out of place because it's like, what are you talking about? He's been
it
doing things
is
right the entire film.
yeah, it's out of place to, like, what he's actually done in the film, and it's not because their plan to infiltrate the castle worked perfectly, but
Yeah,
it's also out of place to their relationship. Yeah, it
yeah.
probably just sounded right.
But that is like the only thing I would posit as a flaw for the film. Of like, if they remove that line, everything, like the entire film would be perfect. I'm not like against the whole like calling films perfect. I think it's very, like, there are films that are like everything everyone wants to be. It's like perfect. Her
Oh
is
my god,
perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, Oppenheimer.
It's it's so funny, like, Everything Everywhere at Once, like, I've always cited that as, like, there's so few movies nowadays, it feels, that are just accessible to everyone, and that
Hmm.
just everyone likes it, and I always laugh when it won Best Picture. I remember being kind of surprised because 'cause I'm like, "Is this gonna get, like, Best Picture? Is this accessible to everyone?" I'm like, "No, it is, it was. Everyone
Yeah,
liked it." It's just every now and again, a movie like that comes along.
just the perfect storm. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I would. This movie is one of those that I'm probably gonna rewatch a bunch of times because it was so much fun. It was just like so lighthearted and like you can. It's not long. It's 98 minutes. It's like very chill to sit
Yeah,
through and watch, and that's one of the things. Because, like I said, I've been watching a lot of westerns, and some of the westerns, even like old ones, are very long, like 2 hours and 20 minutes and everything like that. It's just give me 90-minute movies. I love 90-minute movies so much. Like, I don't know. I think 90 minutes is like like a great runtime for. Obviously, not all movies fit that. You know, you couldn't do fucking Oppenheimer in 90 minutes, but you know, like I don't know. Like I think a lot of films, especially nowadays, have a lot of fluff, and it's if you can pack a lot of interesting and well done stuff in 90 minutes, I think it just makes it like for such an enjoyable experience because it doesn't seem like you're wasting time. It doesn't seem like, oh my god, it's a chore to sit through this movie. It just feels like because like time passed by so fast when I watched this film. It was like
Well,
I started watching it. It was like suddenly like 11 a.m. I was like, oh my god, I finished the film. But I sat through it in one sitting. I think I paused once. So it's like genuinely such a like pleasant film to sit through, and I'm gonna rewatch it all the time.
Well, I always describe those movies as like lean movies. I love citing Fargo and Drive. Those are another
Hmm.
great examples of movies that are just 90 minutes, and it's just like it's perfectly what it needs to be. 90 minutes, like they don't waste any time. It's exactly as long as it needs to be, which is like about the minimum runtime of a movie, all things considered,
Yeah,
but they make the most of it. So yeah, I love 90-minute movies, and this is a great example of one.
yeah.
It's so funny, like, cause yeah, my Blu-ray is an hour and 38 minutes. It almost feels like a 2-hour movie though, in terms of the execution. It just
I think it has
because the
so much
time just
meat
zips
on the
by.
bone that it
Yeah,
feels longer, but it passes by. Like there's so much stuff that happens that it feels that it should be longer, even though it is like I think perfectly like paced and like put together in terms of like there doesn't seem to be anything missing, and I don't think I would add anything to it.
yeah. But yeah, so many scenes, so many unique sets. That's probably one of the reasons why it feels like you said, so much meat on the bones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I cannot recommend this movie enough. I'm so glad you watched it and liked it. You must have been in for a treat as well if you knew nothing other than
Yeah.
like vaguely the whole Inigo Montoya line. Oh my God.
Genuinely, yeah.
Yeah.
I knew
Wow.
nothing and it was very pleasant surprise. It's funny because it takes like 30 minutes for you to like meet the protagonist properly because Wesley he dies off screen and then we're
Yeah.
following Buttercup for a while, which by the way Robin Wright is great in this film. But we're following Buttercup for a while and then it's like he shows up but he's masked and I was like, "Wait, is that him?" Because like he's acting a little evil. And then I realized because oh, she moved on and everything and he was like teasing her, but and then you get like, oh, okay, he is the hero of the story. But for a while, you're just kind of watching things like, who am I supposed to root for? It's
Yeah,
interesting.
it doesn't. It's like it's a little bit like Alien for a while there, where it's like who's the main character, who are we
Mm,
following? Because like Inigo, like any number of people could take it on,
yeah.
but
Well,
yeah,
I
this
thought
feels like
Inigo was the main character, but I was like, wait, he's gonna fight, the black mask dude. So like, is he gonna die? Is that it? And then when he lets him live, I was like, okay, he's gonna show up in the end of the film, and then he's gonna say his line and kill the his father's killer. So that was obviously where it was going. But I thought Inigo was the main character from what I knew about the film. So I genuinely, my experience was like very fresh. I didn't know anything about it, and yeah, it was very pleasant experience. All right, well,
all right. Well,
I assume
it's
you also
your
recommend
turn
it,
then.
right, Evan? Calling it the
Yeah.
perfect film.
Yes.
Yeah,
I would recommend this movie for sure. Can't recommend it enough. See The Princess Bride. We spoiled everything, but yeah, if you've never watched this movie, watch it. It is amazing.
yeah. All right, then Evan. Here's the thing. Couple months back, I watched with a friend, and this is like his favorite film of all time. And I wasn't too impressed. I thought the ending was a little weak. But it's a film that is very influential. Basically, Black Swan was inspired by it, and it's the Japanese
Ooh.
film Perfect Blue.
Yes, I'd heard. It's funny that that movie I've heard is like hot water. Some people have said that it's like semi plagiarism. I've heard not really, but like very, very
Mm,
inspired by.
yeah,
I've
yeah. No, the
seen
plot
Black
lines are strong.
Swan. I've never watched Perfect Blue. I've meant
Yeah,
to. I've been curious about it, and
yeah.
the
Perfect
animation
Blue
looks
is
amazing.
like It's very similar to The Substance too. But it's an interesting film, and I really like a lot of the concepts it's doing, and I've been wanting to rewatch it just to like make up my mind about it because I was like,
Give it a
everyone
fair
thinks
shake.
Perfect Blue is so great, and I think it deserves another shot just because I didn't like the ending at first. So and it'll be interesting to hear what you have to say as well. Because yeah, there seems to be like quite a lot of films, in in America that are inspired by Perfect Blue. So yeah.
Is Katoshi Kon. I don't know what else the director did. Let me look it up. Yeah, this is another that's on my that's just been on my list forever, and
Yeah.
it's funny too because I'd watched Black Swan, but I've wanted to watch this because I've heard like the original Black Swan, as it were, but huh,
Yeah, I'm probably gonna watch Black Swan too
maybe
because I actually have never seen it. But I'm probably gonna watch it too
ah
this week just so I have the frame of reference.
that would actually be interesting so that you could get that to compare to.
Yeah.
It's actually a little similar to Whiplash. Reminds me of that. There's a couple. We even compared Devil Wears Prada to that.
To Whiplash.
Oh my god.
It is funny that Whiplash
Uh,
became the standard for like person who gets obsessed with like their job and
yeah, like
ruins
an
their
art or
life.
craft or
Yeah.
yeah, it's like became the master of that. Oh man.
Yeah.
All right, Perfect Blue then. I've
Perfect Blue.
been looking for an excuse to watch that.
Yeah.
Glad we can.
All right. Well, folks, that is it. Thanks for watching. Happy 2026. Hope you have a great year. And we'll catch you next
Yep.
week.
Catch you later.
Bye bye.